Bitcoin chilling here in the middle of the range between $90,000 and $100,000. We're going to be breaking down where this thing could be going, because the most important thing I want to draw your attention to is the fact that, on this very, very short time frame here, Bitcoin, basically since the 4th of Feb, it's the 8th now, in 4 days has tested this level more than 4 times. And, right now we're actually seeing the weakest bounce so far, which I think is definitely a little bit of a cause for concern. Let me break this down for you a little bit more. If we take a look at the bounces that we saw, and first of all, let me just kind of demystify what level we're talking about. Yeah, it's actually just 95.8 level. The market was kind of bouncing off this level, finding support, finding resistance, whatever the deal may be, a little bit of both. And that's absolutely great, right? That's kind of exactly what you expect between the middle of 2 very important price levels, is that right in the middle you see a little bit of a higher liquidity zone. So what I think is more appropriate for this zone is probably to draw it with a box. And what you'll start to notice is that the price, it fell down to this zone a couple of times, and it's just not producing the same kind of bounce right now, right? If we look at this on the 5-minute time frame real quick, just kind of zooming in a little bit, I mean, right here, you managed to see Bitcoin bumping up by 2.9%, and it only takes 2.5 hours, right? On this occasion here, Bitcoin's up by 3.2, and it takes 13 hours, so absolutely fantastic. But on this occasion here, it's been 22 hours, and we're not even 1% above. In fact, the best that we could do is 8 hours to get up by 1%, which is literally the worst performance I think we've seen here, yeah? If I'm not mistaken, maybe not. Yeah, I'm not mistaken, actually. And so, it's bad on all fronts, right? Like, what I like to do, and what you'll see on this YouTube channel, those of you that are subscribing, going to be very, very acutely aware of all of this, is that we're going to look at the market as objectively, as fact-based as possible, but naturally the market is very biased, right? So while we are trying to be objective, we understand that the market is not objective. The market is moving either up or down. And so we're going to kind of read the facts, and we're going to start to see which way are these facts leaning. And in this example here, we're on a very short-term time frame, so I don't want you to get too excited, but on this time frame here, it's not looking good to me, yeah? And it's not looking good because it's just the body language of the chart. We know this is an important price level. We know that we've already seen nice big bounces coming off it, and yet right now we're not able to produce a bounce, and that's after 4 attempts, right? So it's just very classic technical theory that's going to tell you that this is probably, not looking too good. Now, on an ultra short-term time frame, if we can get above this prior high, then, we're probably pretty good to continue rallying on much higher. I do think that, obviously the next stop is going to be 100K. Basically, you've basically only got 3 levels in this entire range, by the way. I mean, let me make this very, very clear for those of you who, are not super, familiar with these kind of things, which is totally fine. That's what this YouTube channel's for. By the way, if you enjoy this content, make sure that you do smash up those likes, subscribe, tick the bell, do all that good stuff. And of course, a ton of free bonuses for you when you start trading using the links in the description below. A lot of you guys have signed up, but if you don't have a bonus, it's because you haven't actually started trading. So check them out if you're not from a restricted region. But bringing it back here, to kind of really break down what we're looking at here, it's really 3 distinct levels, and you can draw it as wide or as narrow as you like. It really doesn't matter. It's not the point. But here are the 3 key levels that I'm seeing on the chart, right? And then obviously we've got the all-time high box right here, but we're not too worried about that one. And so obviously we've got our baseline support down here, we've got our midline, and we've got our top level. And typically what you'll see is that you're just going to go from your base, from your bottom to your top, and then back to your bottom, back to your top, and maybe sometimes you'll stop in the middle for a little coffee break, and then kind of back to the top in this example here, right? So it's really beautiful. You can see just how consistently, look, all the way down, all the way up, all the way down, all the way up, all the way down, all the way up, all the way down, halfway up, all the way down, all the way up. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's without fail. It's without fail. And this is kind of the mind-blowing shit, that a fake trader, wouldn't be able to see, because they just don't trade the markets. But, somebody who's been in the by the way, my team and I have been in this market collectively for like more than 20 years now. Just myself, more than 8. No, nearly 8 years. Nearly 8 years. So we've really been around. And basically, because I've been talking to somebody that's kind of new to the markets, and he's a little bit amazed at how much I know, and it's just and also the confidence that I have about shit that's gonna happen. And it's literally just that, I was like, dude, like everything we've seen on this chart is something that I've seen 100 times, 1,000 times. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've seen it so many. Like, there's nothing new anymore. There's nothing novel. There's nothing like, shit, I haven't seen this before. There's, it's all shit that we've seen before. And that's really, really good, because then you kind of have a mental bank of like, how did this stuff go 80% of the time? Or how did this stuff go 50% of the time, or whatever, right? And you can start to build a thesis. And that's where we are right here, because what this tells us is, we've got a really, quite tradable range over here, right? I mean, if you're, especially if you're buying the bottom, right? If you're selling the top, it's a little bit more hit and miss. And that's because, we're in a bull market, we're in an uptrend. So obviously, you're not going to be biased to trading the downside. You're going to be much more biased to trading the upside. And if you were trading the upside, ladies and gents, that's a 100% success rate up to now. And, we entered this range, we flipped this, we got above this level. What was this? 19th of November, roughly. The very first attempt at this level for support was 28 November 26. And then, basically from that point onwards, if we just kind of count, we got 1, 2, I don't know if you want to count these, 3, 4, 5, 6 attempts at this level. And if you do count these, it becomes 8. And, that's just all pure support right here. I mean, this is like smart money buying, right? And so if you're buying off these levels, that's free money. And these midpoints, they're kind of the same. They're kind of the same thing. They just move a little bit. They're not as aggressive. You're not expecting such extreme kind of reversals coming off them. So that's why I'm saying that, there's a chance for the bulls right now. It's still holding, and, it's a good 4-hour candle, by the way. I mean, if we kind of zoom in and we look at this 4-hour candle, like, this is a bullish engulfing candle. It's engulfing at least the last 2 4-hour candles, if not the one before it. There are only 30 minutes left, so, you're going to know what happens, maybe even me, by, toward the end of this video. But, I mean, even engulfing 2 candles, I think is, still pretty good, right? I mean, like, we're not complaining about that. And then, yeah, that does put the next stop at about 100 if we can get above these highs right here. So that's going to be the key thing to watch right here. These highs are about 97K flat, about 97K flat. Now, if we do end up falling, and, I think that is probably where this chart is. I mean, again, this rally is throwing it off a little bit, but if this rally kind of ends, then, I think it's over. I think this is definitely going to collapse. We're definitely, I think, going to be coming down to $91,000, which is only a 4.5% drop, but that would probably mean a massive spike for Bitcoin's dominance, and it would probably mean, obviously by extension, a lot of altcoins are really, really suffering and losing value against Bitcoin there. So that's something that I think is worth keeping an eye out for. It's kind of like altcoin wreck season right now, like just all altcoin holders just completely wrecked. And so, I mean, I don't really know. There's not a whole lot more that I can say beyond that, other than just that I think, there could be a lot of volatility if we do end up breaking this level. And I think that volatility is going to end at about 91, 90. And, I think failing that, obviously, we've got our support at 72, but, we've spoken about that a lot and we kind of know the deal there. So I don't want to spend too much more time on that right now. I do want to zoom in, though. I'm going to have to go ahead and refresh my page, though, so bear with me here. But I do want to zoom in right after this and talk a little bit more about the potential for Bitcoin to flip above 100 and then switch it up to some altcoin analysis as well. Obviously, we are basically at the end of the trading week as well. So there's a lot more that I do want to go through on some larger time frames. But as usual, I do want to start a little bit smaller here. And, if Bitcoin can get up to 100K, it's like I said, I would probably expect it to break. It's a good, it's a midpoint. We're kind of ready to break. There's good reasons to do that. There is something which I think is a bit of a problem in the S&P 500 where it has pulled back a little bit in kind of response to the Trump tariff stuff, or I don't know what the hell it is at this point, to be honest. I really don't. But it's still looking pretty good to me, man. I mean, I really don't know what to say. It's weird how it kind of ends up closing there and opening down here, and that happened 2 times in a row or whatever. But I mean, I can't really make a bearish hypothesis out of this chart other than just the fact that right now it's pointing down. So, I mean, it's weak, you know what I mean? Like, it's a really weak thing. But my point is that if the S&P is not kind of, looking really, really sweet, then that could be a problem for Bitcoin. So that's just, something to keep an eye out for right now, because right now Bitcoin isn't fully there. So definitely, worth keeping that in mind. And then, a little bit of consolidation before breaking it, no problem there. Maybe even a pullback down to kind of 97.7 or something, no problem there. But I really do think that, it's looking pretty good if Bitcoin can get above this high right here. I know it's like super intraday, but it's actually a pretty, I mean, this is a really well-defined level. I mean, as a trader, this is kind of a trader's paradise right here, to be honest. So It is actually very readable in that sense. Now, like I said, we do have the weekly close, and the weekly close is really interesting. If we look at the weekly close, there is still a day left, so that's a lot of time for something to change, and it is a weekend, so a lot of crazy shit tends to happen on weekends, right? So, let's not be kind of unaware of these facts. But despite them, this is a nice reversal candle. I think the number one thing that this tells me is, well, first of all, we couldn't challenge the all-time high, but second of all, you're not succeeding at pushing us down either. And so really, that's, in other words, that's just another way of saying that you're stuck going sideways, bitch. that's kind of it. Like, I'm sorry to be the one to break it to you, but better you hear it from me like that than not even fucking realize it, because everyone else doesn't want to say it because it's not good for business, and it's not, right? Like, if I'm telling you as a YouTuber that we might be going sideways, then that's not good for the ecosystem, right? But it's good for you. So guess who I care about more? But I think that's kind of it, right? We've got that candle right here, bouncing off support, rejected off, resistance up top over here. That's going to basically put you sideways for a little bit longer. And, that's why I'm saying that, there is some potential for us to kind of break below the midpoint. It looks like we're basically, like, during this video, though, challenging this level. So, I mean, I don't know, right? Like, if this rally continues, then, it's probably got a pretty good chance of continuing on higher. So we're just going to have to kind of, keep watch of that to kind of see how that goes. But, weekly candle from that angle, I think, it does probably imply some more downward price action. But obviously we can go in circles first before that happens, right? So we're not too attached to that. Trump coin, not looking great. It's kind of just dying like any shitcoin dies. It's got a good chart though, right? Like, it's not like a super low liquidity chart, as far as meme coins go, obviously. So, credit due, credit there where it's deserved. But, if we zoom in a little bit and kind of understand what this chart is telling us, I mean, it's basically set a low. It kind of did the same thing Bitcoin is doing right now, but it managed to kind of bounce up. These bounces off lows like this, even if a bounce does happen, are typically not as big as the previous bounces that we've seen. So please keep that in mind. Can they be as big or bigger? Yes, obviously. And is it more likely if it's Trump, basically a meme coin versus Bitcoin? Yes, also to that. Yes, it's very possible. Anything can happen. We all know that. But going by kind of probabilities and the things I've seen, when you get a weak bounce like this instead of a more kind of snappy one like that, your subsequent rally is not going to go that high. So, I'm gonna be continuing watching this to kind of see where this can go. Obviously, if we throw on the fixed range volume profile, we're probably going to be seeing, well, that's not the right tool, but fuck it. While we have a box here, you're probably going to be seeing, like a nice big spike, kind of like right here where Bitcoin is basically just this entire area. Let's just take a look, rather than me, imagining where it might be. Go ahead and remove these boxes. So the biggest spike coming in right here on this box right here that I drew very, very first, and we're seeing our spikes kind of ending right here actually. But this is obviously going to be a kind of liquidity zone for Trump, right? So I think that there's going to be some potential kind of selling action happening here, maybe a deviation. Maybe we kind of get this thing up to like 17.8, but I really wouldn't be expecting much more beyond this unless Bitcoin starts performing well. And that's kind of it, right? Like, all of these coins are still pegged to Bitcoin way more than, an altcoin holder might want to believe. But it really is the truth. It still is the truth. And I think because of that, it's very, very likely that, if Bitcoin moves up, that altcoins are going to have a little bit of kind of playtime. And then obviously on the flip side, I mean, all it takes is one little dump, and if this shit comes back down to this level, like, I don't see how it's going to hold again. No way. And if it does collapse, then, these altcoins are just going to get wiped. It's going to be pretty horrible. So maybe even an opportunity to start looking for momentum shorts. I don't know. Momentum shorts don't really work that well anymore, but I mean, it's been a while. It's only the mid-level. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I just, I'm really not kind of optimistic that this level will hold again. So, and like I said, those of you that are interested in trading, you've got phenomenal offers linked in the description here. By the way, those of you that are interested in our one-to-one program, this is something we've had incredible success with, 100% success. Everybody's paid off their fee multiple times over. And that would happen very quickly. It's a one-to-one program. It's very expensive. It's very intense. It's very serious. But if it's something that, if those are things that kind of ring with you, then please feel free to reach out. and a member of the team will get back to you. But yeah, again, like I said, great offers down here. Just make sure that you've started to trade, otherwise you won't get any of the bonuses. And always make sure that you're from a region which is not restricted, that you're not from a restricted region. But kind of back to the chart here, yeah, I think it's looking pretty sweet. Back to the dollar. This is something that we haven't looked at for a little bit. It's been doing well overall. It's certainly pulled back a little bit, and it doesn't seem to have had a big effect on the market yet. One thing that seems very clear is that it is a major priority for Trump to increase the dollar's strength globally, but also that he's very effective at doing it. So this might continue, and I believe, I don't know, maybe this is something to do with the slowdown in our markets. I don't know, but I do think that it's worth at least kind of looking at a little bit. And that is going to be pretty much all for me, right? There's a little bit of gold we can look at, which is now sitting at about 2,900. We knew about this. We really, really knew about this. We did a lot of analysis on gold. So nothing's taken us by surprise right here. Those of you that are subscribed are going to know all about that. And yeah, I think that's kind of it for me. I feel like, oh yes, I wanted to go through some indigo. I was like, I feel like there's some stuff I'm missing, but I couldn't quite place it. First of all, by the way, on this daily chart, again, there's still 4 hours left. So, a lot can change, but this daily chart right here is not looking, amazing for both, for both bulls and bears. But I'm really liking these rejections, for bulls right now. So, if these rejections kind of materialize in a bigger move, then, again, I just really think that, 100K could kind of get blasted through. But, if we're paying more attention to our previous 3 days in a row, they were pretty bad candles. And, if we're getting a pump right now on a weekend, it's like, well, how much is that, even real? Like there's going to be a little bit of, people questioning that as well. I don't question it, but other people do. So, I think that's kind of worth looking at. And then, yeah, just to kind of, throw on some indicators and understand a little bit about what our momentum is saying. On the daily, we probably have no momentum, right? Let's wait for this to load up, though. I don't want to speak for the tools. I'll let them speak for me. But nothing's loading up right now, so I don't know, maybe not. Been having a couple of issues today. We'll see if I can load up the beautiful Ichimoku cloud. And if not, then I'll probably have to end the video right here, because, yeah, I haven't been able to fix this issue. I don't actually know what's happening. So I'll probably call it there. Thank you all for tuning in. You know exactly what to do. Smash up those likes, subscribe, tick the bell, do all that good stuff. And we'll see you all in the next one. Cheers.